Welcome to the Master Your Millions podcast, the show all about your financial potential and leaving a legacy for future generations. Here are your hosts, Jason and Scott Henderson.
Well, hey, thanks. Yes, today our guest is Tachen Tutdeal. He was born in South Sudan, if I understood it right. And you guys, today's podcast is going to be amazing for the fact that we have the opportunity to talk to someone who was born a prince, I think is the right term to say. He was the son of a king. He is, for all intents and purposes, oh, wow, he's got life made. But yet he has overcome unbelievable odds. He's made it to the United States. He's living the dream. He's doing some amazing things to help other people to find themselves and find their dream. That's one of the reasons we wanted to bring Tachen on today. Tachen, thank you so much for being on our podcast.
Man, I'm just honored to be here, man. I thank you guys for even just allowing to hear me, because the voice is very powerful, and everybody just wants to be heard.
That's right. And when I heard a little bit about you, I said, it's a little bit out of the norm for some of the people that we put on our podcast. However, your story needs to be heard. The people that are listening to this podcast are often thinking, how do I accumulate, enjoy, and pass on millions? Well, part of that accumulation and also enjoying has to do with the mindset, and the mindset of being able to overcome whatever life throws in front of us. And you're such a living, breathing example of someone who has simply done it. So you were born in South Sudan, is that correct?
Yes. South Sudan, 1989.
There was a little bit of an issue when you were born. Tell us a little bit about how life started for you.
It's it's like a drama movie, So I was born with a birth defect. A little bit of insight. I had two twin brothers before me that passed away at birth. I think they were stillborns, and then I was next. And I have a shorter leg, and it was like in a shoelace. And mind you, we're in an indigenous village, so there's no hospitals or anything like that or anywhere around. And my father and my mother, they just was like, okay, that's gonna be the third boy, I guess whatever. Just he could go through wolves or whatnot. Basically, they didn't think that I was gonna survive for a long time. Just then, miraculously, out of nowhere, some missionaries from Germany flew down in our village and said, we have a new procedure, to help people out in war-torn countries, as far as disabilities and whatnot. My father he was a king, so obviously he has first dibs. So he said, hey, my son, he has a birth defect. And the thing is they looked at my case and they said, yeah, we definitely need to take him, but only him. My father said, wait, no, we don't even, I've never even seen a white person before. Why, why would you know? But my mother, she's the one that actually, she gave me a second life, because she said it was no coincidence that, God brought him here at this very time, this very moment, and what are the odds that if God brought him here, let him go for the greater good, and God will bring him back when he's ready. My mother shipped me off to Germany when I was 6 months years old.
You were 6 months old.
6 months old.
6 months old. Amazing.
Yeah.
So tell us what happened next. You were kind of adopted by someone there in Germany. And
so
have procedures, or what happened?
Yeah. So when I went to Germany, very first language I learned was Dutch. I speak in the Deutsch. So I lived in this nonprofit. It's called the Peace Village, which is in Aberhausen, Germany. Aberhausen, Germany. And, there's this lady by the name of Bettina. I just recently found out her name, because back then I just only called her mom. But so I had to get surgeries done, because my leg was literally in a shoelace, like on a loop, and I couldn't walk or drag myself or anywhere. So this was her very first social working job or whatnot. So she got assigned to me, but we clicked, we drawn together, and she says I'm her first son, and we really we were like thick as thieves, man. You know, we would drive from the hospital all the way to where I'm getting my So it was from Munich to Oberhausen, which is like a 9-hour drive, and then yeah, it's a lot. It's a tearjerker, I know. So basically, when that happened, you know, the contract was only for 2 or 3 years. My dad, like the country was still at war, and you know they didn't feel okay with sending an infant back to a country that's full of war, so they kept me a little bit longer. And then after that time passed, I'm my very first ice cream that I fell in love with was strawberry ice cream, which was in Germany. I remember like in December, we had the calendars with the chocolates each day. I remember Krampus, circuses, with the paper plates, and then all that stuff. That was my childhood. My father calls the embassy back again. It's like, hey, where is Tachen or Tutdeal? My German, I mean, my Sudanese name was Tutdeal, so they changed it to Tachen. My father was like, wait, what? He's like, no, we don't have a Tutdeal here, but we have a Tachen Tutdeal. He recognized the last name. He's like, I don't care, just bring the Tutdeal back. That's my son. The same thing that my biological mom did. If God brought him here, he'll bring him back when he's ready. So she had to take me back home to Africa. My dad gets assassinated before I get there, like almost a week or so. Never got a chance to see me walk like a man. People thought I was kidnapped. That's basically the reason why my younger sister, yeah, because the reproducer and whatnot. And then as I got there, my father, when God took away my father, he gave me two of the best moms anybody could ever ask for. And that was the last time I've seen my German mother, Bettina. So now I'm coming back from, mind you, it's like a castle setting, like this, facility church thing. And now I'm back to a hut. I'm like, what is going on?
How old are you at this point?
I'm like about 4 or 5.
Okay.
So you were there from the time you were 6 months to 4 or 5, 4-ish years?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Keep going. So you go, wow, completely different. And
yeah,
what else was
and
different?
It's completely different, mind you. So I always felt like that it was their family. I was just like, I was a myth. Like, oh man, he might come back, he will not come back. So when I came back, it's like all that love for my siblings went away from them and then went on to me. I did not ask. You know what I mean? The miracle baby's back. So that's like I've never felt like accepted as a family, even till today. And I never asked for that because I am the only one born like this. And, the language barrier, I didn't even know how to speak or communicate with them. My older sister was the one that had to teach me how to, speak my native tongue all over again. Like, just like simple things like when I needed to go to the bathroom, I said, poo poo makin, BP makin. I would always grab my power parts and then I'd be like, yeah, 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 yeah. So my sister caught on to that. And then she taught me how, like little by little. My older sister, she's my role model, she's the one that actually taught me how to do everything. And then I had to learn Amharic, which is Ethiopian, because we were in Addis Ababa in the refugee camp. And I had to learn Arabic. I had to learn English because I came to America. And when we came to America, so mind you, this whole entire time I'm thinking like, where's my German mom at? I used to say, mama, mama, that was the last time I saw her. But what the crazy thing is that kids should not have to be depressed or never ever feel alone like that. That's how I felt, from elementary. I used to get actually beat up, bullied, physically beat up, like jumped just because I had a prosthetic leg, Kids used to, in the locker rooms, I remember 6th grade. I remember I got jumped in the locker room. And then for PE, everybody, everybody sits down to do attendance. I would always be the last person. All you can hear is like, of my leg. As I'm walking down with the shame, you just sit down. That is the last person. That right there did a lot for me. But that was my norm, but 7th grade, I was fed up, I started weight training, lifting weights, and I got back at my bullies, man, but I did it for the wrong reasons because I was trying to, get even or whatnot. But that right there kind of showed me resilience because 9th grade, I played varsity football as a freshman, and I played varsity basketball as point guard as a freshman.
with a prosthetic
I've shown
leg.
everybody.
Let's be
with
clear
a prosthetic
here.
leg.
With a prosthetic leg. Now, it's not below the knee; it's above the knee, right?
It's below the knee.
It's below the knee.
Yeah.
So it's below the knee, and you played high school football,
and
high school basketball, and to keep up with anybody on the court.
Yeah, especially because like when we used to do 2-a-days and like weight training, people don't understand that like your regular is my max, and that's why it hit me so hard. And I cried when I was listening to James speak because at the church when he was saying that when you have to crouch down, you have to keep your feet if your feet are a little bit close together, and you have to grab down and like your heel lifts up. That's where you lose balance. I understand that because I have these, and it's like it blew my mind, and so that's why I resonated with James so much, because nobody understands what I'm going through, and so I played basketball, as a freshman, and then next thing, basketball and football, I was a wide receiver on on offense, and then free safety on defense, and I was point guard for basketball. So that was probably like worst thing that could ever happen to me because that's when I started going partying and whatnot and all the bad stuff. That's when I went downhill, because the insecurities, was running so high. I was always performing. That's why I became a comedian, because I would make you laugh so quick and so fast just to distract you from judging me for who I am. That was my defense mechanism, and then navigating through that. Mind you, my father's gone. Everybody that I encountered from my village, like my mom and my uncles, aunties, there were people that know my father. Oh, Gadbiel Tuddeal, my father's name. Gadbiel means the son of. He said, oh, you're going to be just like your father. You have to go back home. That's a lot to handle, because number one, when was the last time you ever heard of a king that's disabled? Or, I don't even know my father. I don't know his picture, what he looks like, whatever. He left a lot of huge shoes to fill, So with that, and I had nobody to talk to. Everybody in my family are able-bodied, and I'm the only one like this. They don't know how it feels like to wake up in the morning, put on a leg, hop into the shower, And that's why it's like when everybody asks me to do something, or if anybody needs help, I just jump right away because I'm always performing. I want to prove that I'm equal,
So do you feel like you're still that way today? I mean, let's fast forward a little bit. You're playing ball and everything, and then you went downhill and things were struggling. What caused you to come out of that spiral to be where you are? I mean, you're not that way today. I mean, you're doing some amazing stuff today. What was it that turned you around?
So everybody goes through crossroads, So around 2016, my cousin had he did committed suicide in front of me. And
in front of you?
In front of me, yeah. So we went to a party and whatnot, and as we came home, I went downstairs to go shower or something, and then I come upstairs, his mom's screaming, and I just see him, like he hung himself in the ceiling. And I tried to grab his feet and like try to lift him up, but I was too short. And I felt like I couldn't save him, so I felt like that was my fault. So the next morning, I tried to attempt suicide. And then because that was too much on me, And then so I got taken to the crisis center in Lincoln, Nebraska. They kept me there for 5 days mandatory. And then they released me the day of his funeral, it was open casket. And I walked down, to see him, and I just knelt. I told him I'm sorry that I failed you, but because he always wanted to be the motivational, all this stuff, that I'm doing now, So that was really heavy. That's probably like around the darkest times. Cut to 2 months, a month and a half later, I get stabbed in the chest 3 times. This was the blessing in disguise. Somebody was trying to fight my sister, right? And as me, I'm still like, this headspace, like kamikaze, like forget everybody, I'm a piece of dung. Nobody cares about me anyways. I will never be enough for anybody, because I'm always looked at like this, what happened. So I get stabbed in the chest. I have an out of body experience. I guess they said technically I flatlined for 30 seconds. I'm looking at myself in the ambulance as they're trying to, doing the defibrillator, trying to get a pulse. And the next thing you know, everything just went poof, all white. I'm just in this white abyss, And I'm talking to myself like I'm talking to you guys right now. I'm like, wait, am I dead? Where am I at? You know, in the spiritual realm, you're not locked in time. Mind you, I was only gone for 30 seconds. I felt like I was there forever. This is when I realized how powerful, how important self-love is, because you were born alone, you will die alone. And I was there by myself for the entire time. I thought I was going to go to hell in gasoline draws, but there's a spirit, this entity, is because, love, life is all about energy, frequency, and vibrations. Love being at the all-time high. I didn't feel like I should be loved. I didn't deserve to be loved. But the amount of love that I was receiving from this spirit, this thing, immense. I can't even really describe it in humanly form. I felt warm. I felt celebrated, not tolerated. I felt wanted. I felt like a family. I felt like I've been there for my entire life. That love was so powerful to the point that my body shedded a tear and gained a pulse back. Everything that makes a human being, I felt again. Pain, emotion, confusion, all of that. The day that I died was the day that I woke up. Because now I started loving myself, and look at all these doors that I've opened up. And I realized that the love that I was receiving up to where I was really love I was neglecting within myself, because we are in his image. The way you show me that you love God is by the way you love yourself.
Okay. And so then you started feeling like you needed to share that love with others. Is that where we're going?
Yeah. I mean, basically, being as that,
what was your next step?
My next step?
You start feeling, obviously you recovered from being stabbed, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, tell us then today, let's fast forward a little bit. What is the day or weekend for Tachen to now? Is it
for now
speaking engagements? Are you, I know you're a comedian, so occasionally you do some stand-up stuff. Is that what you do?
Yeah.
Tell us more.
So yeah, I do stand-up speaking stuff. But just a little drop side note. So the guy that stabbed me, I ran into him at the gas station, and because I'm sorry going back, but I just needed to get this off. I felt like I was saved, but I still had like a little Henderson in my my heart was like still like it's like I was like an anchor, you know what I mean? I was like, okay, I'm saved, but then I still have this thing that's dragging me back, because I still wanted revenge on this guy. I didn't testify against him. I needed him out. So, and then I'm going to the gas station 3 months later. I still have bandages on my chest, and somebody taps me, and it was him. God will give you whatever you want. And I'm just sitting there shaking, crying, because not only that this is the guy that killed me, but this is the guy that freed me by killing me,
Wow.
So at that very moment, I said, I forgive you, man. Just go home and be a father to your kids. He said, thank you, Tachen, man. Thank God that you didn't testify, this and that. Right then and there, I felt like a tank lifted off my chest. I kid you not, because now it's not in my hands anymore. It's in God's hands. And if you don't change your life, come to find out 6 months later, I heard on the news that he got in a car accident. That was what is huge for me. Like, now I don't feel bad because it's not on my conscience, But yeah, so skip forward to that. I'm just saying that the reason why I showcase my story so much is because anybody has it worse. Like I said, everybody has a story. Who's writing yours? Finally take the pen back. Nowadays I showcase my story just anywhere, just by showcasing how powerful self-love is. My German mother found me last year. January 22nd, 2021. She found, what are the odds of that? Little Tachen, back in the village, cut to 27 years ahead. She finds me on Facebook.
Wow.
I've been wanting to see her or hear her voice for like my entire life. Just the lady that says, just for her to say, I'm proud of you. I love you, son. That's a lot, So how it happened was one day I was just, I posted a baby picture, which I thought was from Africa. Hey, y'all, this is me back in Africa, And then everybody's commenting, oh, cute baby, cute baby. And then this lady was like, no, this was not in Africa. This was in Opera in Germany. That's not. And then she gets in, she private messages me. I'm like, no. But one thing is you cannot forget your mother's voice. You know, I'm like, whoa. And I started naturally speaking Dutch again fluently as I'm crying, talking to her. Because very woman that I've been needing my entire life, you know, she's back, you know, and to make things even more miraculous, the very picture that I posted on Facebook, she goes back and goes to the photo album and shows me that very picture, signed, sealed, delivered. My mother is here.
Wow.
So you have a podcast, right? What is the name of your podcast?
My podcast is actually called Healing Through Progress. You know,
Heat healing?
Healing, just healing through progress.
Healing through progress. And how long have you had this podcast?
I just started this podcast like about 2 years ago.
Okay.
2 years ago. So basically with my podcast, Healing Through Progress, you know, just kind of like what I was showcasing, everybody's just putting yourself first, you know, and making yourself just obtainable goals, just tiny micro goals, you know. And then once you start overcoming those, you know, you can gradually get bigger and bigger. But, you know, the concept behind that is as you're going down the line, you naturally start to heal yourself because you're progressing, and therefore your confidence gets higher and higher. And therefore you can actually walk the talk that you would want to be. Manifestation is real, and that's how you do it, you know. I get people from all walks of life, you know, and I hone in on the stuff that people don't want to talk about, which is mental health and like what's really what's really like what you think, what was the toughest obstacle that you have went through, and since obviously you're still here, how did you get through it, and what can you tell our listeners, because everybody is not alone, you know. A quick story about that. I was doing comedy at this club called King of Diamonds. It's a strip club. It's weird where God takes you, you know. But so I was doing comedy over there, right? And then there's something in me that there's like telling me like, take your prosthetic leg off on stage. So so I'm like, okay, God. So I take my prosthetic leg off on stage, you know, and then next thing you know, everybody was shocked. And I go about my set. And then, you know, the security is, after my set, the security is ushering me back, you know, to the back of the room. Somebody wanted to meet me. That night, there was a lady there with a prosthetic leg as well, too. And she said that I saved her life because she was going to end it and she thought she was alone. And she said, when I saw you on stage, you know, loving yourself and showcasing that made me feel better about myself. You just saved me, and now you have a sister for life. I just knew what I had to do now, you know. Just be a voice for the voiceless, and the demographic, because, you know, entertainment, creativity, imagination itself should not have a standard or a beauty standard, you know, because how many other Michael Jacksons have we overlooked just because of their physical disability or mental disability, you know?
Or their height, or their color, or their height, weight, or their age, or their, you know, I think of that, the lady that's Britain's Got Talent, you know, the older lady that came out on stage, and, you know, Simon was like scoffing, and then she blew everybody away with her voice.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? And she ended up,
I think she got like the golden buzzer.
People would have judged her by saying, "Oh, she's not super attractive. She's, you know, a little bit past her prime." Yada yada yada. You're right that we need to be looking more at what people can add to each other, and how we can love each other a little bit more. And that really, to me, is the heart of wealth. Okay. Yeah. There's difference between riches and wealth. There's difference between being rich and wealthy. And taken to a large degree, you're a very wealthy man, given your experience, your heart, your ability to touch others, your ability to help them to laugh and to see life better. That's those things you can't buy, right? If I'm a multi-billionaire, I'm unable to buy those. Right. So there's a difference. And when we understand that, well, however, can you then use that to parlay into some riches, right? There's things, everybody wants to be comfortable, if you will, in life. Yeah. Everybody wants to have a little bit, whether it's a new pair of shoes or a new Porsche. It's all relative, right? So, and part of that things is ownership of those things, or maybe even some land, right? Mm-hmm. Have you ventured yet into any kind of investing?
I have not, besides building on my own platform, which is just launched that last year. Tutdeal Limited Co. I named it after my father too, because he built a legacy. This is how I do it in America. You know, obviously with an LLC and everything that I'm just talking to you about right now is just that's the platform that I'm investing in myself in. Still new, but I don't have any knowledge behind it, so I'm kind of just going as I'm walking along with it.
And that's where everybody essentially starts. Maybe some of us might have been born into a family where the dad is an investor or whatever, right? Yet we still need to go through that process, which is cool that you're up and saying, well, I simply don't know anything about this. Is that something that you're interested in to start to be able to say, someday I want to have my own house, or I'd like to have several acres and a horse? What's some of those dreams that you have?
Yeah, like I'm just like anybody else, I want to become an owner, not a loner, and what do? We naturally go to YouTube. Oh, how can I become the best millionaire? That's what I was doing, and taking advice. And then, people are saying, oh, hey, you like an infomercial. Hey, but for 1995, but wait, there's more. You fall into that, because they prey onto the, I've gotten more broker than believing all these infomercials and paying so much money. And then like they're giving me an ebook. I'm like, well, I can just did that, But with that, I would love to want to be. So my father, he's, from what I heard, from I know from my spirit, great man, had 5 wives, guys. So that means he took care of 5 families. He was a judge as well too back then. So with me, what I want to do is, number one, I want to go back to Germany to reunite with my German mother, and then I'm going to fly back to Africa and go to my dad's grave. That little boy that nobody thought was going to come back, it's okay. I'll take it from here, and take what was rightfully mine, and really lead in a different way, because I'm doing it through love and just connection, by showing each other's. I want to be a mirror, basically like that, So maybe if you can look at yourself and see, hey, try not to just understand, what other people are going through. And, riches, that's everybody's fantasy. But being rich in spirit, I think that's the key. And I think, that really truly comes from having to go through something, because then you would understand on a deeper level.
Correct.
I had to lose my life to realize.
We had another guest. It's been a little while ago. It's Kelly Cardenas. For your listeners, you can go back and listen to what he says. But one of the things he pointed out, he said, you've got to get your heart set first. Yeah. Once your heart is set correctly, then your mindset can come along. And then after that can come all this other things as far as like manifesting and having goals and things. But your heart seems to be in the right place, right? From my perspective. So I'm telling you, from someone who has quite a bit of experience, that there's a book called Think and Grow Rich. It's by Napoleon Hill. It's probably the best selling self-help book of all time. I recommend you get it and read it. If you want, you can send me your address. I'll send you a copy. I'll send you a couple of copies. There's a couple of books. If you really want, that's where you kind of start, right? You've had amazing people in your life that have become mentors. Your mom, both in Germany, your mom back in Sudan. There's been other people in your life that have been key to get you to where you are now. And so the same kind of thing can help financially, in my opinion. And one of them being someone to say, hey, go learn here. Go check this out. When you read that and understand that, then come back to me and let's talk about that. That's how I've done it with Carter. Carter, you've read Think and Grow Rich, correct?
Absolutely. One of the best books you'll ever read. It's an excellent read.
Okay. What other book would you say is a good book for him to read to broaden his financial education?
Broaden his financial education. I would definitely start, or the one that I started with was Richest Man in Babylon. I think that's an excellent book. It goes through kind of the basis of, financial stability and making sure that you're managing your finances well. Another one is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. You'll hear a lot of people talk about that one.
Yeah.
It's a great book. Richard Kiyosaki, who's the writer, talks about his rich dad, who is actually his best friend's father, and his poor dad, who is his biological father, and the difference between their mindsets, and how that affected him and how he learned from the both of them. So both of those I'd highly recommend.
Oh, okay.
And that's kind of where you start, right? I mean, you got to find someone that's a mentor. We feel like that this podcast is somewhat as a mentor for some people, that they can come and hear your story, other people's stories of what they've overcome, how they've started to be successful, what they have done, because we talk about, it's all about mindset and your team, right? And you're go ahead, Carter.
I was going to say, and the matter of fact is part of our message is that anybody can do this. We live in the United States. That's the whole basis of our country, is that anybody can come here and achieve their goals and dreams. And so that's part of what we're doing on this podcast, is we want to show that, people just like you, people that have been born with or who have made their way into, disadvantageous situations can make it. And they can be exactly what they want to be and live the life that they want to live.
Man, that's beautiful. A little bit of, it's like, that's amazing, because, even at this right now, it's like, yes, I might look way great, almighty online or whatnot, but as far as finances and as far as, everything's going, yes, I'm still walking through that, even as we speak right now. I'm in a hotel, and it's just, we're really walking through this. So therefore it's like, I'm literally at the bottom, level of it. When it comes to finances, I had or have no, basically hadn't put out a loan just to fund my business, and even with that, I don't know about business credit and all this other stuff. And so let's just say I'm ground zero, I can tell you guys right now is I'm about to get housing here in a second. So that's how down we are, But like I said,
hey,
not stopping.
That's totally okay. One thing that we often do on this podcast, Taken, is we'll ask people what their next big goal is. Do you have any big financial goals that you're working towards? Or they don't even have to be big. They can. You said you're in kind of the starting process. Do you have any goals that you're really working towards?
Well, right now at the moment is kind of like a one-man team, with my business or whatnot. So what I'm trying to do is my business graded up enough to the point that I can actually get, a building for my, production company or whatnot. Or so just have just like a space, an area with, inner city youth kids just to come in and just learn some, whether if it's music or whether if they wanted to come act, shoot some skits, something like that. Kind of like a Boys and Girls Club almost, So I want to do that in the creative entertainment field. But as of right now, I'm touching them through Instagram, my music, and this hotel where I'm at.
Okay, so we ask our people, say, give us a goal, specific goal where you want to be, say, in 3 to 5 years. And with that, we give an invitation, an open to invitation for you to come back on the podcast and celebrate with us. We're going to go back and say, back in July of 2023, we first interviewed you. You said this. We could even replay the part of it and say, hear the sound bite. This is what you said. You have now accomplished that. Let's celebrate. Put something out there. Manifest that for us, Taken. Put it out there that this is what I'm going to do, and we'll be cheering for you. We'll be right there. We had a guy say, I want to speak to an audience of 100,000 people. I looked him straight in the eye and says, I will be on the front row. You tell me when that's going to happen. I'll be on the front row. It doesn't matter what the expense will be for the tickets. I will be there and I'm going to cheer you. So you have that opportunity to put it out there. What this goal is going to be. Let's make it up big and let's make it happen.
I want to inspire people by the masses. I want a TED Talk. I want a TED Talk. One of my hugest goals, because, I know a lot of people that can really see the light. And, by that time, I want Tutdeal Limited. I want to have employees, I want to be almost a franchise, and really I just want to travel around the world and just talk and have all of my Boys and Girls Clubs, in indigenous families and inner city neighborhoods that can't get access to all that, So, and I
Okay,
want to
so
be
when you get scheduled and invited to do a TED Talk, one of your first calls is going to be to Jason Henderson, right?
Oh, most definitely.
And you're going to tell me, Jason, I've been invited to do a TED Talk. This is when it's happened. This is where it's going to happen. And we will schedule part of that phone call. We'll schedule a repeat podcast where we come on and talk about it. And maybe even, maybe do it after the TED Talk and simply play some of the TED Talk as part of this podcast so we can listen to it, right?
That'd be
We'll
amazing.
put that out there.
Amazing.
Taken Tutdeal is going to do a podcast. Going to do a TED Talk. Everyone that's listening, you heard it here first on Master Your Millions, that he's been invited for a TED Talk, and that we're going to make that happen. Taken, we are so honored and grateful that you would come on our podcast, share some of your story. Now, I have to say this thing. I didn't really say anything about him having a prosthetic leg or anything, and truly, I didn't know when I first saw him. The man walks very well. I didn't know. I didn't hear any clank, clank. You walked up to me on the street, introduced your story after an event that I had spoken at, and it was cool. And you turned and walked away. And I was speaking to James Dixon, who has also been a guest on this podcast, and he's the one that told me that you are an amputee. It's like, whoa. So, that's just cool, right? It doesn't define you. It refines you, right? It makes you even much better. So take 30 seconds, real short. What kind of advice would you throw out there in the random chance that someone else that needs to hear something from you? What kind of advice would you give them?
I would say, number one, be open-minded, everything that you want to happen to you, like everything that you wanted to happen, reciprocate those to other people, give more. And, because the people that give, they receive more blessings or whatnot, and I would say truly scrutinize on the positive, because we're just all so positive. We're just all naturally just, scrutinize on the negative things that happen, start thinking about the positive and really take account of, number one, accountability, and just love yourself first and see how that works out. And everything that you want to do, like we just did right now, send it to the universe and it'll come back to unfold. And pay homage to the people that actually have been, give them their credit, like Mr. James Dixon. That's I have not met anybody that really feels the same way I do. I've been wanting a male role model. I had to raise myself. Not only that, God gave me a male role model, but one that actually has the exact same, thing with me.
Same leg, right leg, left leg?
Right leg.
Both of you are right-legged?
No, yeah, both right leg, yeah.
That's missing. Cool.
That's missing,
cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he actually posted my video on his platform after the speaking event. I took the bus back home. It was like about a 2-hour trip, and then back to the hotel. And then I was just so motivated, and I was so enriched and like mind blown that I even did a video right there on the side of the street. And I said, hey, I just went to the speaking event. One thing that really, because that story that he shared about him lifting up and like his testimony about his grandma,
when he did the record,
that took me by the water, because that's exactly what I want, especially going through varsity basketball and football. I understand what he's talking about, and that I was weeping back there in the back seat. I was in the back of the church, and somebody really gets it. So I just say, pay homage to the people that really, you never know who's going through the same thing. And at that moment, I was there. The crazy thing about that is my doctor was the one who actually put me on to James. And he said, hey, I see a lot of you in him. Reach out to him. He's not too Hollywood. I'm sure he'll call back. He calls me back. Right then and there, he said he takes me on, I'll be your mentor. And I told him to share my story. And now I'm here, so.
I love it. So everyone, we will put a link to Taken's podcast in our show notes. Of course, you can search it and probably find it even faster. Once again, we're so grateful that you'd be on the podcast. Carter, any last words that you'd like to say?
Sorry, Jason, could you say that again? I have a little bit of a bad connection.
Any last words that you have for part of this podcast?
No, I was just going to say, Tachen, thank you so much for coming on. I think your message, and so grateful that we could have you on here. I look forward to seeing you again in 3 to 5 years. Let's get you back on here.
Yeah.
We're going to hold.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a year or less. Honestly, TED Talk that's coming. Thank you, Tachen, once again.
I hope
everyone.
it is.
Yeah, it'd be cool to actually have my version of TED Talk and call it Tech Talk. But yeah, I appreciate you guys so much, man, for even allowing me to, showcase my voice and, so it could reach the masses, even if it's not in a field that I'm not knowledgeable in, but I'm a master student, that's one thing is I'm always coachable and I'm willing to learn, especially if it's going to help me build a legacy and an empire. You know what I mean? So I just really appreciate you guys for even extending out the olive branch for me to even, showcase this. And God bless you guys so much.
Okay, thank you.
Next time, I'm not going to be in this hotel. We're going to be in mansions.
Okay.
There you go.
Thanks for listening to Master Your Millions with Jason and Scott Henderson. Check the show notes for any links or contact information about today's guest. Make sure to follow the show so you don't miss any future episodes.